So how do you differentiate to your audience as to what is the difference between innovation and disruptive innovation?
Innovation can be in increments where you make incremental changes to what you're doing, either an incremental change to a product or a service. A disruptive innovation is something which changes the whole game plan. That is the one which can have the maximum impact on what I just said about everything that we do at work, the way we live. So the disruptive innovation is the one which can change everything. And I would put enormous premium over that. Not saying that the incremental innovation is unimportant, that's important, but disruptive innovation is the game changer.
If I may put it in colloquial language, disruptive innovation is about changing the game, and incremental innovation would be about playing the same game better. So it's about changing the game.
Absolutely. And one is focused towards solving a problem, a creative way to solve a problem, an innovative way to solve a problem, versus the other is to change the game through innovation such that it leads and creates a problem to a possibly existing theory so that a new set of theories take over.
I think the starting point for innovation must be choosing the problem that you want to solve. What is the question that we want to answer? And I think that has, well, of course, in the solution you create more problems, and then life goes on. It's the good old Marxist thesis, antithesis, synthesis, and growth.
Let me give you an example. When I used to be with GE Appliances, and Indian markets never used to have washing machines. And it's very funny, they did a systematic market research with Marg to go and find out as to what do Indian customers really want. Do they really want a washing machine? And at that point of time, 80% of the people who were researched said that they had no need in the Indian markets for a washing machine. They were very happy with the buy coming home and washing their clothes. And no vacuum cleaner, no washing machine, that's what the indication was. So GE went on to this market research and did not introduce the product in the market. Videocon, unmindful of this research, and I think it was Eureka Forbes, unmindful of the research, went and introduced the product in the market, and there it took the advantage of being the first mover in the market and really captured a sizable amount of the market till GE realized that we can't be just relying, we need to create a disruptive innovation in the market, introduce the product even if the customer doesn't want, and then it subsequently got absorbed in the whole story. So at times just going by the classical research does not really help you.
I'm going to ask a different question, which is somewhat linked to the theme of the talk. Is it discovering the future, or is it creating the future? So who are the organizations who will create the future? They create technologies, they create our social systems. So are they the most successful organizations which really create the future? Saugata, any thoughts?
The discovering and creating, literally it means separate things. But I would look at it that anything that will benefit the human race in totality is the people or organizations which will succeed. Now, Adil said about the washing machine, the research failed, but it was successful because it was beneficial to the human society. So either way, anything universally, what is going to benefit the human society, that will be successful.
It's a function of whether you want to surprise the society or be surprised by the society.
Yeah.
Good. Any questions from the audience till these guys can really... Yeah.
One comment, since you asked me. I mean, something similar what you are saying is what Apple did to Sony. Sony did to Kodak.
Correct.
I mean, if you see that, what Apple did to Sony, Sony did to Kodak. This is what perhaps the innovation which we are talking about. You have the technology, you have everything with you, you have the people, right kind of people to develop, but Sony missed it out, having done Walkman and Apple took it. So similarly, I think, when we are talking about perhaps the discovery and the exploration or creation of the future, some of them are done by force, you have no choice except to do it. Sometimes you plan it and do it. So I think, that's where sometimes you can think about the future, sometimes you can't think about the future. Like you said today, who sells maximum, who sells the maximum cameras in India?
Nokia or whatever.
It's Nokia or
BlackBerry or something.
It's not one of those traditional. So I think, these are the innovation to perhaps through technology, where ultimately, for me, it stands, there's sort of a culture you build an organization which makes you do.
Yeah, but Dwarka, what is very funny is about this human behavior, that on the one hand, sometimes you lead the change to a new paradigm, and then you get stuck in the paradigm you created and refuse, after having gained advantage of moving the paradigm, you then don't realize when the new paradigm comes that you have to actually shift from the new paradigm you created. So there is this paralysis that you get into after creating a new paradigm to get stuck in that paradigm and not move on.
That's a good question. So I want to stick my neck out, really stick it out. I talked about shared value. Let me just elaborate. I think it's those companies that go out and find solutions to problems that the market is not addressing. Looking, if you like, at the bottom of the pyramid, trying to align company goals with societal goals. I think it's people who play in that interface who are really going to be the champion innovators and the companies that will succeed tomorrow. I know that's a brave, poetic statement, but I would love some reactions to that.
But that's the future. That's what things would move to.
Yeah. I think what he said makes profound sense, That's what I mean by understanding what the society needs. When you define a relationship with the key communities in which you're operating, the society in which you're building an enterprise, what is it that the society needs and wants? And in relation to your organization, how impactful, how supportive, and how understanding are you? So it's a microcosm in a larger macrocosm. So that relationship and that understanding, that includes customers. How do you understand the ever-changing needs and aspirations of the external environment, and how an organization defines an integrative program which answers those expectations and aspirations? That's the approach. So in that sense, values play a very important role. What is important is it is that unchangeable within you. If that is strong, organizations would be able to cope with the tumultuous change that happens externally. What is that unchangeable within your organization that is strongly embedded? You stand for something. It defines who you are, where you come from. You stand tall and say, okay, this is what I practice as an organization. These are all fundamental beliefs. We don't violate this. So that gives that sustainability, that gives that strength for an organization. I think that's a very well made point. Thank you.
Just to add here, typically innovation is about if there is a need, the mother of all invention is the need that was there. Today, the day is on when the unstated needs of the customers, or for that matter as HR professionals, the unstated needs of the employees, knowing that, actioning on that, and then finding solutions to the unstated needs which are not communicated, is where innovation in the realm of customer as well as in the realm of employees is coming to the forefront. One example which was shared was with respect to Sony and iPhone. With respect to the iPhone, nobody even was talking about the need for a touch-sensitive phone. But in this case, as an example, Steve Jobs saw that the unstated need of the customer was X. And with the approach that he had, he brought that about. And today it is one of the largest selling products in our context today. So knowing what is that unstated need, pointing a finger at it and knowing the pulse is the most important thing for breakthrough innovation, which can be used
Yeah,
across.
but you see, the most successful organizations, and you go through periods of time in history, you look at the paper age, you look at the stone age, you look at the iron age, one predominant technology emerges. Success then comes to all those entrepreneurs who are able